Godzilla, King of the Monsters is directed by Michael Daughtry.
It follows the escapades of the Monarch organization after the 2014 attack of the Mutos and Godzilla himself. Now it poised with a new threat of multiple titans appearing across the world.
If it looks like I'm in a different area, it's because I am. I'm at my friend Tom's place. This is Tom. He's the Godzilla buff out of my friend group, and he's going to be helping me review this movie.
Kaiju groupie, as some would call us.
I guess starting with the director, Michael Daughtry.
I saw his work in Krampus. That was the last thing I saw him in. Was he did Krampus.
Which means he also did Trick or Treat.
Yes,
too.
He did.
I guess I can kind of see why they got him on board for this film then, because this is all about creatures and monsters and stuff, and that really seems to be his strong suit.
Yeah, the guy definitely knows how to really use monsters in proper set pieces. Like, definitely is in watching this one specifically, you can really see that every monster was given a proper and grand entrance. Steals the show away entrance of what this creature is, what it can do, and why it's a threat. And Daughtry exponentially delivered on that with each of these iconic Toho monsters that have been around for almost half a century. And it was huge respect to the original.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Just watching the movie, I could see that he was really good when it came to directing how to make the scene breathe every time it had like each monster come into the frame. Like, it demanded your attention for each of these creatures, and I thought that was like the best approach. And I also thought the movie did a good job at explaining each of the creatures as well for people who might not know a lot about the Godzilla universe. So
yeah, this movie definitely came off as a Godzilla movie made by a Godzilla fan. Like, I've been following Watanabe on like all kinds of Twitter and social media, and like he's just as excited about making the movie as we are watching it.
He knows the source material, so because he knows the source material, he can kind of grab all the things he likes to make it completely faithful as possible.
Ken Watanabe reprised his role as the leader of Monarch. Well, maybe not the leader of Monarch, but one of the head Monarch scientists. Yeah. And he does a great job. You know, he was in Detect Pikachu. Great job in that. You know that he kind of gives it his all with his performances. Like, with what he's given. With this series, it's no different. Yeah, in this movie, the cast, not only is it really big, but it's not big where you're like, there's a lot of people to keep track of. It's like there's enough variety to the personalities where you're not thinking that. You're kind of like, you kind of almost welcome it. It's almost like an Independence Day kind of variety. They all had pretty good chemistry with each other. Like, the family, the Russell family, all of them, they played off really well together. You felt that they are definitely they were a family that have seen these hardships, experienced this firsthand, and in a lot of drastic cases went totally opposite ways with how they handled it. And I think in the short time that they are on screen, because the human element is kind of take a backseat in this one, and which
to me, I feel like that's how it should be with these films.
I totally agree. Like, at least with the take they're doing on Godzilla, because as this franchise is approaching Godzilla, it's more of definitely a Godzilla's a hero role, which is not always the case. So it definitely, we want to see the character of Godzilla explored, not so much the humans that kind of just gather the plot along.
And even in this one, it's more like, it's like on the cusp of either he's a good guy or they're just learning how to aim a natural disaster. They're like, go this way.
That's Godzilla in a nutshell. He is an unstoppable force of nature.
I guess going to the Russell family again, Millie Bobby Brown. I thought that she did a good job in this movie. It sounds weird to say, I was actually kind of worried about her in this movie because I saw Stranger Things season 1 and 2. She's fantastic in those. But the thing is, the character she plays doesn't really talk. Like, she's very like physical with her acting, and it's all facial expressions, and she'll say like some dialogue, but you never see her have like full out conversations with anybody. In this movie, my doubts kind of went away.
That did kind of come out a lot, because a lot of the strength of her performance is showing how like just her facial expressions alone, because she doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue in this movie either. Like, she definitely has her lines and she definitely gets her word in, but a lot of, there's monster mayhem going on, and there's not a whole lot that can be said during 3 literally Titan-sized creatures coming at each other.
I can tell that, even despite what I said, that her just how she has reactionary face is why they got her on board for this, because you can tell once you see the movie, or unless you have seen the movie, that it's just a lot of reactionary shots from all the characters, just a lot of
that's a big monster.
Sally Hawkins is in this movie. So if you've seen Shape of Water, you know who Sally Hawkins is. She's the protagonist of that movie.
When they first showed a trailer featuring her, they showed the scene where she's kind of like all held up in her hand and Godzilla's in front of the tank, and it's like
they're like,
is she gonna fuck Godzilla?
Man, do they got a thing? No, she was good in this movie. If you've seen the 2014 Godzilla, I won't say any more than this, but she kind of goes the way of Bryan Cranston, where she's advertised in the trailer, but the role she has is not as long-lived in the movie as you would think it would be.
You know, I haven't seen enough of him yet, but that man is the new Christopher Lee.
Oh, Charles Dance.
Like,
yeah,
he's got that kind of presence.
He was good in this movie. My only thing is, I just felt like he wasn't necessary. Without spoiling anything, there are certain details of, like, why he's even there that I felt like they could have just taken the qualities of, like, the purpose he's even there in the first place and give it to another character that is also in opposition in the movie, and just have them do all those same things, and, you know,
yeah,
you would have saved payroll.
Yeah, he was definitely a good antagonist for, you know, his act.
Yeah, like we're saying all this stuff about the cast and how they're good and everything. It's just that, you know, at the end of the day, this is a Godzilla film. Yeah. We're not exactly here for the humans. So the cinematography in the movie, I thought was really good. They just, like, all the wide shots that would show these creatures make their appearances, like, I feel like all of them just could have been paintings or something.
I've never cried for a CG moth before in my life until today.
I really liked the way they went about doing everything, and when it came to the world building as well, just things that made a first appearance in this movie that didn't pop up in the 2014 movie, to say details about the origins of all these creatures and stuff. Thought they went about it best they could without it being too, like, wow, this is out of nowhere visually.
It definitely, going in as a Godzilla fan who knows a lot of the source material, it can seem like a lot, because they name drop so many Easter eggs from just so many different facets of every era of Godzilla that even as a Godzilla fan, knowing all this stuff was a little overwhelming, but it wasn't to the point where I was lost or anything.
How faithful was, like, this to pretty much everything?
So, faithfulness is a huge question with Godzilla in general. Because there are 31 movies, 32 now with King of the Monsters, continuities and origin stories get picked up and put down and reworked and retooled, that I think this got kind of the best of everything. If I looked at these monsters, I could automatically be like, for sure, that's definitely Mothra. That's Ghidorah. That is, you know, Rodan. That's, for sure as hell, that's Godzilla. And it did well treating the source material as faithfully as they could make it, while still being, you know, creative and new, and is a little more grounded as this series is taking its roots to, being a little more pseudoscience-y instead of being the almost full fantasy and full sci-fi that the normal Godzilla films are. So, you know, it made for an enjoyable new take on the series.
This movie has, like Tom said, there are a lot of creatures in this film, but at the same time, the way that they go about doing it, you never think, okay, that's enough, like, we've had enough of them. They pop up organically, and the spaces between each appearance is, like, perfect, especially along with, like, the fight scenes. You know, human interaction, either appearance or fight scene, and then so on. And I thought that was, like, the perfect formula for this kind of series.
The pacing was almost breakneck. Like, the first time two monsters collided, it was really early, and I was like, oh, we're doing this. All right.
You know, considering it's all CGI, obviously, I thought that was really good, too. I never, ever questioned, oh, well, I mean, that's not there. Like, I never thought that. Like, you get sucked into the movie so quick that you just don't think of stuff like that.
These are the most expressive we've ever seen these characters. These monsters had a lot of personality in this one. Like, Mothra had a little bit of sass to her.
Right? Just going to the writing, I thought that when it came to the actual plot of the creatures, I thought it was fine. I mean, you can't really go much further than they attack each other, they make their appearance. You know, Godzilla beats whoever's in his way, and then he dips. And that's usually the plot of like all the movies. If I had any issues, it would mostly be with the humans. More specifically, with the villain of the movie. He didn't really come off as the villain that much. Mostly because he didn't do a whole lot. There are a lot of characters that kind of just will sit there and they'll say some dialogue, and it'll feel like they weren't really necessary. And I felt like he was one of those characters. The Orca, it's kind of centered within the Russell family.
It was something they worked on together, and then harkening back to them both kind of taking separate paths when it comes to the destruction of San Francisco in 2014. You know, one goes into recluse and basically tries to avoid the problem, and the other one continues to work on the Orca, which is, you know, the main MacGuffin of this whole movie that kind of drives the plot along. And that's where the parallels kind of come into play.
If the humans were going to have some kind of anchor that is like, this is what's making them relevant in this film, it's not too bad of a subplot.
You can argue that their characters aren't entirely fleshed out in that say, like their motivations are kind of weak, but if we dwell too much on that development, then there's no more monster fighting. And you want monster fighting.
Exactly. I think that's what makes this movie work so much, is that 2014 movies gained our trust. So because it gained our trust, it's like anything that comes with it now is like earned.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's like so welcoming to have all these creatures in this one.
And now that they've done this one, they pulled it off so well, like they can take more risks and do crazier monsters, which got pretty fucking crazy.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Go see King of the Monsters. It is for Godzilla fans, will eat every single second up of the screen, and if you're not a Godzilla fan, you'll have a lot of fun just watching three giant monsters beat the crap out of each other, and it's a good time.
If I had any follow thoughts, it would be pretty much around the same thing. I feel like this film has something to offer, whether you're a diehard Godzilla fan, you know, a normie that's seen like maybe in and out some movies, or just someone who's freshly new to this. You can watch this movie and not have seen the 2014 one, and you won't be lost. It's a very cohesive film on its own. I can confidently say that this movie is like a classic summer blockbuster film. You can think of it like a year from now and you'll just be like, this is a classic. I guess with all that said, I'm going to give Godzilla King of the Monsters a B+.
I'm going to give it a solid A. Not an A+, but an A. Just because they went for it, man. They took all the right risks and it paid off for me.
I respect that. So yeah. Thank you, Tom, for being on this video.
Thank you for seeing Godzilla with me.
Anytime. There are apparently over 30 films, so maybe we could review one of the ones from the past in the future.
Oh, I've got a lot to show you.
Yeah. So those are our thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters. What's your favorite kaiju? Put it down in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, subscribe. And thanks for watching.
#Screengoer.